Dualadon, we've seen this map before. It is a smaller map filled with junk and debris, but if you can get out in the open, it can be a good mid-range map. There is a lot of debris, however, you have to be very careful about bumping into things at times. Duel at Dawn, starting up right now, the Lusty Argonian made the first ship in the lineup, piloted by Commander Byron Cavendish. We have on the front an Artemis, on this side, on the left side, two more Artemis, the triple Artemai combination, and on the right, double Hades. The second ship, the Gotshot, piloted by Feast on Thrones. We have on the lower deck a Gat mortar. On the wings, we have double Artemis. And on the middle, we have a Mercury field gun.
Yep. And on the Sveri, we've got that long side with Lumberjack Heavy Flak. On the short side, we've got a Carronade Hwacha supported by that Mercury field gun and the flare in the back. And on the more dapper, we've got that triple Artemis combination, two on one side, one front, with a Gat mortar on the side, and we've already got some firing going down.
The Mad Hatter ships, the more dapper and the Sveri, they have been put inside the ribs to start out with. I'm not sure if they're feeling caught or if they're feeling in a defensible position, but Sveri and more dapper have both lost components already. Lusty Argonian Maid has lost balloon power, but it has not gone down just yet.
Yep, that Lumberjack shot's coming in, knocking out Lusty Argonian Maid, and that those Artemis are doing work as well. But as you see, Sveri is actually taking brunt of the damage currently.
That's probably for the best. It is a slightly better tanker than the less armored Junker, if I can pronounce my words correctly. Sveri and the more dapper not letting up, continuing to focus their fire on the Lusty Argonian Maid. They did get their balloon back up, but their outer hull is going down.
The Lusty Argonian Maid is actually in a lot of trouble. There's basically every single shot is hitting it currently. Oh my, that was...
flak shot. That was a heavy flak shot. Completely obliterated the permahull. It was at 2/3 health. The Sveri is taking a lot of damage, though. Its permahull is down to about half, and the Mobula is laying on the fire.
It's gonna bump into that rib. It's gonna keep it up. It can't get out of range here. Although there's no spots on the blue team, actually, so I'm not sure if that's gonna make any difference while these two red ships are trying to arc their shots over.
The Gotshot is trying to drop out of range of the Mad Hatter ships. Lusty Argonian Maid has spawned back in and is approaching the position that the Mad Hatter ships are at.
Yep, coming in once more for round two. Didn't go so well the first round. That was extremely good focus firing there by the Mad Hatters, and looks like they have caught wind of the Maid coming around once more and are turning their attention to him.
Lusty Argonian Maid has almost successfully dropped out of arc of most of the Mad Hatter's guns. They're launching Hades fire, mostly inaccurate though so far. Only a couple of those shots landing on the Sveri.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the complete opposite from what we saw from Sacrilege. All of those shots going far, far above. Now, Lusty Argonian Maid had to be really careful there because it was actually fairly close to debris in the ground, and those Lumberjacks will knock out that balloon almost immediately.
The Gotshot has lost 2 of their guns so far, but the Gents team, the official Gents team, is continuing to put the pressure on. Lusty Argonian Maid is actually heading into brawl range with the more dapper.
And I'm not sure why they're doing this. There's really no need to get in this close. You know, they may want to get into within arming distances of some of these guns, but they really can't do anything once they're this close in, and all they're doing now is just taking a boatload of damage.
They're within arming time of those Hades. The Hades are now essentially useless without Lochnagar ammo. The Lusty Argonian Maid has lost their outer hull. Their permahull going down very quickly. That charge was a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit puzzled by it. I understand wanting to get into the inside of the arming range of maybe that Lumberjack and Flak, but once again, you don't really have anything to do once you're that close in, and the more dapper does still have that brawly side. You got to be careful about it.
Byron Cavendish, normally a very conservative, very defensive pilot, eagerly charging into range there. Again, we're very puzzled by this, but the Lusty Argonian Maid is coming up behind the more dapper now, taking out its engine column.
Yep, Lusty Argonian Maid gonna be firing off here, trying to catch more dapper, doing a fairly good job of it. But the Sverre is actually taking a lot of shots here too, and blue team might be in a little bit of trouble.
They have a lot of guns and engines disabled. Well, not engines anymore. They've gotten them back up, but they have in total combined 7 guns disabled.
Yep, more Dapper just finally getting some of it back up. Oh, in the
Lusty
meantime, the Sverre
Argonian
goes down.
Yeah, combined with firepower from the God Shot continuing to support, took out that galleon. Completely obliterated it. Now, More Dapper is in big trouble right now unless it can turn its brawl side properly. There we see the brawl side, but Lusty Argonian Maid is laying down tar.
Yep, and it looks like it's actually the Artemis side was still focused on the Lusty Argonian Maid rather than that brawl side, and now we'll see if they can take out the More Dapper here while the Sverre gets back into this combat. I have a feeling that tar was probably a little bit of a mistake. Tar is mostly ineffectual on this map because of the wind. Maybe just wanted to obstruct a little bit of view, but More Dapper now getting focus fired by these 2 ships. Yep, and that pretty much told the tale right there.
The combined firepower of the Gotcha and the Lusty Argonian Maid, despite the fact the Lusty Argonian Maid was, for a little bit of that time, inside Hades' arming range, they still managed to take it out pretty effectively.
Yeah, the Gotshot still has that gap mortar as well, so they are able to get on in, if not for, you know, if
We've
not
also
a little bit getting that melee in.
From the Gotcha, we've actually been seeing very active Mercury field gun use. Very accurate firepower from that so far. It's easy to hit with that at long range, but a good gunner can actually pick a ship apart component by component when using that. Gotcha taking a lot of damage, though, from the Sverre's long-range side. Lumberjack, or those are flak shots. I'm sorry, flak shots coming in, landing on it. Its balloon actually went down for a few moments. Outer hull has gone down.
Ooh,
Bam!
heavy flak coming on in once again. Sverre doing a great job of that, just continually peppering with those large guns. Now the Argonian Maid is going to be in a little bit of a trouble here as it tries to run away, while Sverre tries to chase this down with its lumberjack.
More Dapper and Sverre happy to sit back at this point. They are at the perfect range to take on the Lusty Argonian Maid. Their outer hull and perma-hull is being ripped to shreds. We need to see a flag shot right now to finish off the Lusty Argonian Maid. They are in a very bad position.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of these shots right now are hitting, well, we're hitting the balloon. They are now actually hitting the hull once again. Ooh, and a few of those heavy gunshots going in between the hull and the balloon or under the hull. So without a spot, it's a little bit difficult to connect those shots accurately.
Lusty Argonian Maid is dropping very quickly. They are not repairing their balloon just yet. I do believe they did that on purpose. They actually waited until they felt comfortable about how far they had dropped.
Yep, absolutely. But with that flare that came down, Lusty Argonian Maid was exposed and still sinking to the ground with those lumberjack shots that had connected, breaking the balloon once more.
Another flak shot.
And another heavy flak shot. Yep. Once again, that heavy flak is actually doing fairly good so far today.
It's doing really well. I don't know about you, but I was actually really surprised that the heavy flakfish worked so well in the previous game.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very good coordination between that double Hades.
Oh no, Lusty Argonian Maid spawns right on top of the blue team.
Now this might end up working very well or extremely poor. Of course, blue team only needs one more kill, and with the More Dapper turning its brawling side to Lusty Argonian Maid, can they take him out while the Gotshot tries to come and help?
The Sverre's actually raising up right under the Lusty Argonian Maid, gives them a balloon bounce straight upwards to keep them in range of the More Dapper's brawl side.
More Dapper is caught between 2 of these ships, and now Sverre is actually getting a little bit of a tar on them as well.
It's blowing out of there, though. It's just blowing on top of the Lusty Argonian Maid for right now.
Yeah, it's going to blow right on top of the Lusty Argonian Maid. That's why it's really difficult to use tar on this map.
We need to see the Sverre. They did. That was great shooting on the part of Lusty Argonian Maid and the Gotcha. Gotcha did rush in there and use its brawl mechanics at a certain point. They do have a gap mortar on there, and now Sverre is in a bit of trouble.
Yep, once again, that spawn gambit there worked off fairly well. They did get 1 kill and probably will follow it up with a second. Depends on whether or not the More Dapper can come on in here and save his teammate. Just a tiny sliver of hull left. Oh my, it's barely even visible. Are they going to be actually able to escape this?
I hope everyone is seeing this right now. The Sveri has no permahull left. They take one shot in the permahull, even just a single Gatling bullet, they're done.
Oh, they're actually going to bounce into the pipe. That's... No, you don't want to be there. That loses all sorts of mobility for you. But they are alive. After all that, they are
That's
still
actually
alive.
surprising. I'm shocked that they survived that.
I believe a couple of shots ended up landing in their balloon, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would have been it. Uh, the Gents, if they knew what had happened there, probably would be kicking themselves. But right now, they're taking too much fire to really worry about such things.
Got shot is it should be the focus right now. The lusty Argonian maid was being fired upon by the Sveri, but they have changed their fire target to the got shot.
Yep, got shot, hitting with or getting hit with most of those lumberjack shots once again.
I like the choice of switching fire to the got shot, but it looks like the more dapper has changed its fire target to the lusty Argonian maid. The Mad Hatters don't actually have sight on either of the Gents ships. Right now, it's pretty much blind fire through a single cloud bank, as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, still some connections going down to the Lesser Argonian Maid. Fairly good there by More Dapper, but More Dapper is in no cover whatsoever. And oh no, More Dapper. The Dapper getting taken down there by the Lesser Argonian Maid and got shot while Sverry was coming back up. And Sverry's actually got to be incredibly careful here. It has almost no health left.
It's gonna go down. Their outer hull is being picked apart. It is at just a scratch left. There it goes.
So what a comeback there
Ooh.
by the Gents. Coming back from a 4-2 deficit to finish this game off in their favor.
I thought that gambit of Byron Cavendish spawning his junker right in melee range with the two Mad Hatter ships, I thought that was suicide, but that turned out to be the exact distraction that the Mobula needed to get in close, start using his brawl mechanics as well, finish off one of those ships, and they just started meat grinding them at that point. Northern Fjords. We haven't seen this map yet today. Imagine, tell us about Northern Fjords.
Northern Fjords is kind of a slanted map if you think about it. One side is less terrain to fall than the other. It also makes popping balloons on this map not as effective as on others because you do have a very, very long way to fall down. It is really favorable to long sniping matches, so we will most likely see that once again.
The first brother ship in this game, the lusty Argonian maid, piloted by Byron Cavendish. On it, we have the triple Artemis, the Artemai setup, and double Hades on the right side. The second ship, the Gotshot, piloted by Feast on Thrones. We have on the very front that Mercury field gun. The bottom deck is a Gap mortar, and the wings are Artemis, both of them. Imagine, go ahead and take the red ships, the blue ships rather.
And it's very already firing a whole lot of guns. Captain by Batissimo, we've got that lumberjack heavy flak on one side with Watcha carronade on the other, paired up with a Mercury as well. And on the more dapper, we've got the double Artemis on one side with another Artemis front, and the Gap mortar on the other side that is captained by Velvet. And as we see, this is usually the kind of stuff you see on this map. The two teams setting up on their own side. Although I will say that red team has gone way, 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 way into back corner, and I actually think that I saw them do this against, I believe it was the Glowwater Thralls last weekend.
Yes, that was actually the match we were referring to when a Pyramidian from the Glowwater Thralls, the Mary Thralls, rather, decided to do that double Mercury side setup. They
Oh,
set up
okay,
almost
that was the match.
in the exact same place. The Gents set up right behind this bridge, right behind the smokestack here, and they just dueled back and forth.
Yep, and then I believe the Thralls came forward. Yeah, I think that's actually when we found out that there's a little picture, hidden picture in this tower. that you can actually find through the cracks of a window. Now let's see, what are the Gents doing? Looks like they're just going to sit on their own end, wait for
They're
the
happy to
Mad
hold up
Hatters to
here.
make their move.
They're absolutely happy to hold up here. They know they have a tactical advantage when firing from this position, and they will not give that up. It would be silly to give that up to a certain extent because you have a tactical advantage. You're not going to just throw that away to move around a bit.
Yep. Now, usually, actually, what I've seen between these two teams when they've played is they will set up like this, and they will be like this for 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then suddenly both teams will start moving. So I don't know if it's just something that's trained in them, but both teams will eventually start circling around trying to find each other. So we may have this little bit of a standoff here for a while they wait for the other one to, well, I guess more or less flinch first.
These are both Gents teams, keep in mind. One is the Gents, one is the Mad Hatters. They obviously train together. They are part of the exact same clan. So it'd
Yep.
be pretty obvious, pretty safe to assume rather that they'd have similar tactics.
Yeah, and it's actually, I'm always interested in these team matchups because you know your opponents so extremely well, and I always wonder if the teams plan something special for this, plan something that they don't usually do. Maybe that's why last time we saw the Lost Argonian Maid running in more than it usually does because they do want to try to uh, catch the team that thinks they know what their opponent are going to do, um, a little bit more off guard. So we'll see if something like that happens again in this match.
Checking out to see exactly what's going on. They're both sitting in the exact same position. Flare is going out. Sverri and More Dapper happy to sit near their spawn. They have a clear and open firing lane for anything that approaches them. The Gotshot
Yep.
and the Lusty Argonian Maid happy to sit back behind their smokestack to use the terrain to their advantage
Yeah.
to shoot down anything that might approach them.
Is it? I don't know if you know anything. Is it tea time in England right now? Is that
I
what's
have
going on?
no idea.
Of course, the gents being known for their tea and their jolly nature. Just be very well tea time. They're taking a little bit of break here. Let's see what kind of ammo are these heavy guns packing here? Let's see. They've got charged, burst, and
Whoa, hold
Lockgar.
up a second here. We have shots landing on the Sverri and oh my goodness, great fire arcs from the Gents team. I don't think Sverri was expecting that.
Although this has given away the gents' position of where they're going to be, but they're doing it they're doing it for a good reason.
Incredibly great firepower coming on top of the Sverri. Their permahull has been brought down to half. Great hull break there, and great coordination from the Gents team knowing exactly what shots have hit.
Yeah, and the Sverre was actually doing a little bit of evasive maneuvers there, going one way and then going the other, making the opposing team shoot the wrong way because they have no spot on them currently. Um, but in the meantime, these wild lumberjack shots are going off.
Yeah, when a ship is moving that quickly, especially, or rather, even a galleon, which can't really move that fast or can't jump that fast right off the bat, any kind of motion like that, especially when you're firing that far, it's too much for a lumberjack gunner.
Oh, absolutely. Lumberjack's already very hard to handle. Any motion can throw it off like you'd not believe. I personally am terrible at lumberjack shooting, so I don't even try it anymore. But I know that slightest movement can have extremely adverse effects.
Potshot still being taken by both teams. More Dapper is accelerating backwards, trying to get out of arc of the Gents' guns right now. Sverri has brought himself back up and is attempting to pinpoint exactly where the Gents are firing from.
And they're doing a horrible job at it, more or less. Those shots were nowhere near. I don't know if it was still because of momentum. No, it looks like they mostly stopped. Maybe they thought they came out. You at this point, what you try to do is you try to pick up where the shots came from the opposite team and fire back in that direction, hoping you get a couple of hit markers. And it looks like the Gents are actually moving forward some here.
This is surprising. They had a solid defensive advantage. They nearly took out the Sverry. I'm shocked that they're just simply moving forward at this point.
Well, they had to know that they did a lot of damage to at least one of these ships, but it's also possible that they think they did more damage than they actually accomplished, because while this ferry took some hull damage, more Dapper is completely unharmed. I mean, it's got a few components out now, but no permanent hull damage so far.
Lester Argonian Mate has gotten a spot down on the Sverry. They are dropping all the firepower they possibly have from the Godshot and the Lusty Argonian Mate on the Sverry, on that galleon. They're not able to retaliate right now. Hull break has happened on the Sverry. They are losing permahull pretty quickly now.
Yep,
It could be just a few more moments before they go down. Hull goes back up though on the Sverry before that can happen.
yeah, and for Lumberjack was actually down for a very long time as well. I have a feeling that's the Godshot using that Merc to knock that gun out.
Additional hull break just happened on the Sverry. They go down to a well-timed heavy flak blast. I'm sorry, not heavy flak blast, but a mercury shot.
Yeah, it's rare to get those Mercury kills, but every now and then you can do it. Once again, Sverry was at extremely low health. Just needed, basically a sneeze on them to knock that out.
More Dapper is now in a very precarious situation. The Lusty Argonian Mate has direct line of sight on them, so the spot will hold for the time being. Artemis fire going all over it.
Has spawned fairly close though, and they can start shooting the Lusty Argonian Mate here. They have to start connecting with shots though.
More Dapper is wheeling backwards, trying to get into this cloud bank here, approaching it. It's in a lot of trouble though. Lusty Argonian Mate is actually taking a lot of damage. Oh my god, this Sverry takes it out.
Yeah, so I almost feel like that was a little bit of a bloodlust there by the Lusty Argonian Maid. They were really trying to keep that focus fire on the more Dapper. And even though they started taking shots from the Sverry, who had spawned basically right under them, they did not even try to move anywhere. And that allowed the Sverry to just bomb blast their balloon. Once that balloon's down, a Lumberjack damage is going to start transferring to the hull, and combine that with that heavy flak, and well, that's game over there for the Maid.
I'm actually shocked that the more Dapper,
game over, but
I'm shocked that the more Dapper didn't go down. They were taking so much fire. The permahull is sitting exceptionally low, but that killing shot just didn't come in. Lusty Argonian Maid was getting rocked a little too hard. Godshot didn't have proper shot on it either. It couldn't get that Mercury quite on target. So, unfortunately, the more Dapper is going to hold for the time being.
Yep, thankfully for the Mad Hatters, although the more Dapper is still extremely hurt, so whatever fight these two teams get into, the Gents are going to have an advantage. And we see here a little bit of a shifting positions, and oh, the Lusty Argonian Maid has got to be extremely careful. It is all out here by itself. I mean, Godshot's not even moving.
I'm not even sure the Godshot can support the Lusty Argonian Maid right now, if they so choose. Lusty Argonian Maid has been spotted, as has the more Dapper and the Sverry.
Yeah, I mean, you can take some long Merc shots. That's only going to accomplish so much. I mean, maybe if you're lucky, you can take out a gun or two, but you're missing that Artemis fire from the Godshot.
That Mercury fire is coming in from the Godshot. I can see it on my screen. Artemis fire is coming in as well on the Sverry. It looks like the Gents are focusing all their firepower on the Sverry right now. Outer hull has gone down. Permahull is taking damage at this point. Lusty Argonian Maid is taking some fire. Most of their guns have gone down, but it isn't enough to do anything towards cracking that hull.
Yeah, once again, that Lumberjack getting knocked out quite constantly by the Merc fire. It looks like they may actually switch their focus over to the more Dapper now. Or, well, it's actually kind of hard to tell because Lusty Argonian Maid has actually had most of his guns knocked out, so...
They've actually had all their guns knocked out at this point, and 2 of their engines, and their balloon. They are losing permahull pretty quickly now. Accurate firepower buff in the Sverry. Flak shots coming in. It wasn't quite enough. Lusty Argonian Maid had their hull back up as soon as it went down there. Lusty Argonian Maid struggling right now to stay in the air. Engineers,
and it goes down.
Goodness. too much combined firepower from the more Dapper's Artemis and the Sveri's long range guns, that flak and that lumberjack specifically.
Yep, and the more Dapper for a little while was way too far down in order to start shooting with those Artemis, but once it raised back up, it managed to take out almost all of the Argonian Maid's guns, which
The
basically,
Gotshot has actually snuck in right in between the more Dapper and the Sveri,
I'm
and
not
they're
sure if this is going to be
pointed.
good for them though.
Neither am I. They're pointed directly at the Sveri, but the Sveri is rising up very quickly. Oh, the Gotshot is racing away, but they've exposed their engines to the Sveri and the more Dapper. If they can get firepower on the Gotshot, they can disable it right now.
Oh, that Hwacha didn't have heavy loaded on it, so the Gotshot doesn't really suffer any major damage. There was heavy clip loaded into that Gotshot, and probably more components would have been taken out. Now, it's a very interesting spawn here by the Lusty Argonian Maid, as it might just be able to take out more Dapper before Dapper can really react.
I think this tactic by the Gents is attempting to disorient the Mad Hatter's team. They're trying to get them looking in so many directions that they cannot keep their focus enough on any one single way.
Yep, and now it looks like both Gotshot and Argonian Maid are shooting onto two different ships, so they're keeping both of these ships quite distracted and, in fact, quite disabled as well.
The Sveri has had all of its engines knocked out. A galleon without engines is a very sad sight indeed. It's slow in the first place. Sveri is actually also losing their entirety of their permahull. They're almost done for. There they go.
Yep, they were really trying to get as much damage down to Argonian Maid as they possibly could, but I don't think more Dapper is going to have enough time to take the Argonian Maid out. Gotshot's coming on up, and they still do have that front side brawling, but they don't even need it. Those Artemis just finish it off.
3-2 in favor of the Gents now over the Mad Hatters. This is the second game in the series, in this matchup rather. Should the Gents win this, they will move on to the semifinals, facing against the Black Flight Squadron of the Bully Boys. Muller, Dapper, and the Sveri have spawned in at the, what is that? That is the far west spawn, towards the west center of the map.
Yep, well, Bully Boys was more or less sort of an offshoot of the Black Flight Squadron. So, Black Flight Squadron is the mother clan. But we'll talk about that next game, as the Lusty Argonian Maid is taking a few shots towards it, but none of those really hitting. That is an extremely long distance to shoot at, and going to be extremely hard to do so.
I'm surprised they got a spot on the Gotshot in the first place. It didn't last very long, but they did get it for a moment there. So they do know exactly where the Gotshot is, or at least as a general sense.
Yep, very shots just coming in wide. You know, they're at this point they were blind firing, just guessing which way the Gotshot moved, and well, so far they're not able to connect with it at all.
Lusty Argonian Maid is moving in through the clouds right now. The Mad Hatter's team isn't going to have too much hope to spot them unless Cloud Break happens.
Unless there's some flares come down, that's probably not going to happen. Now, it looks like the Gents might be... Oh, there's a... Yeah, there you go. There's that flare that I was talking about. Illuminating Gotshot, and that's going to be extremely bad for the Gents team. I think they were trying to set up a pincer attack here.
I'm surprised Lusty Argonian Maid didn't get lit up by that. That was pretty close to it, but it's not lit up right now. Lusty Argonian Maid is still unsighted.
Yep, and they're going to come right on into the more Dapper. Now, they do have to be extremely careful because they are at half health while both of these Mad Hatter ships are at full. We'll see if both of these Mad Hatter ships turn their focus to the Lusty Argonian Maid.
Brawl side for the more Dapper is engaged. The Lusty Argonian Maid is going to be in a little bit of trouble here for this charge. Oh my goodness, they are taking a good bit of damage.
Yeah, arcing those lumberjacks just over the more Dapper. A little bit of tar going down here. Not entirely sure.
Great distraction by the Lusty Argonian Maid. They do go down though, 3-3, all tied up right now. Gotshot is still trying to take pot shots against the Sveri, but it's not doing a ton.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they're out of Artemis range at this point, and it was just the Merc that can hit them. They do have to be careful because they can get lit up like a Christmas tree once more with that flare and got shot. Looks like they're going to. Well, they might just stick around here for a little while. Mad Hatters could actually charge this area if they really, really wanted to, but I think they're more content just sticking back in their own side.
I think they're just happy playing a little more conservative for the time being. I would agree. Lusty Argoni made his spawn back in very far southern side of the map towards the east. And they are going to speed headlong into battle.
Yep, got shot. Still sticking around this little arch here. While Ostergonian made. I don't know. Maybe they're just gonna set up behind the arch here as well on their side. It's a little bit tough to tell at this point as Gotshot is beating back up with the Lusty Argonian maid.
This is also a confidence scenario where the Gents, not necessarily used to being a tied up situation, or at least the official Gents team, usually see them winning pretty handily, except against the Mandarins. Actually, in the previous box social event yesterday, they actually lost to the Mandarins. I do believe, though, this is a
Yep.
bit of a confidence situation where Byron is trying to collect his team, gather them back up, focus them, and put a plan in place where they'll be able to take advantage of their more long range guns.
Yeah, and we do also now have the first little lull in action that we've had since that first firing squad started. And I'll be interested to see how these two teams set up once more if the Gents are going to go back into that same corner. But I think they might just be content sitting around the ice pillar here. And we'll see which team makes the first move this time around. Last time it was the Hatters going a bit too far to what it would be the east side of the map. Or no, sorry, north side of the map, I guess it was. Around what's that? C4 area. That's where they got spotted first. And they're more or less in their corner now. It's going to be almost impossible to spot each other from the distance they're at currently.
Yeah, no shots are going to be taken at this point. In the previous one, there was about half the current distance that we have right now between the two sets of ships. In this one, not even a Lesmok lumberjack could make the shot.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, as you see, Hatters have pushed it back almost as far as you can go without running into edge of map stuff. And looks like Gents are just going to sit back here still. Um, well, at this point, you generally have the captains trying to discussing what they want to do. We're down to just a few kills left, so both of these teams have got to be extremely careful, especially with the got shot being a mobula and less than half health here. They can go down in almost an instant, and if they do so, that second kill is oftentimes right after.
Very, very slow position right now. Both teams content to take their sweet time and sit in defensive postures. There was a spot just went down the Sveri, but I don't think any shots are going to make it to it. They are out of range at this point.
Yeah, it looks like every shot is going to be a little bit too far. You can see I believe those are Mercuries that are going to be exploding just shy of its target. Have a few lumberjack shots coming back. Oh, actually, that hit. That Mercury hit.
That's pretty impressive. Gotshot and Sveri both just took some damage there. Oh no, Gotshot. I'm sorry, Gotshot did not. That was my mistake. We do have 9 minutes remaining in the match. 9 minutes remaining on this specific game.
Well, 9 minutes until possible overtime. If it remains tied, then we go into overtime. And I believe it's if there's no halls destroyed for 3 minutes afterwards or 2 minutes afterwards, uh, then the game is called. I have a feeling these two teams, yep, as you can see, got to be making their move now, and we'll shall see how this next fight ends up. And yep, this is what I more or less wanted to see from the Mad Hatters here, taking that extremely long mountain route around. But the Gents are set up perfectly to be able to spot this as soon as they come around the side here.
No one's going to be surprised about this at all except the Mad Hatters team. They are going to be pretty surprised that the Gens pretty much know they're coming already.
Yeah, they're in perfect position to spot this, and you know, Mad Hatters are going to be able to set up a little bit, use that mountain as cover to duck in and out of during lumberjack shots. And unfortunately, the Gents really don't have anything too much to hide behind. Um, I guess that ice pillar is all they can rely on.
Yep, Candy Mountain is there. It is available should they need to duck under it, but it is a very slim bit of area. Sverry has lost his outer hull. They're taking permahull damage right now from both of the Gents ships. They are being heavily disabled at this point.
Yeah, I almost feel like they flew out way, way too forward. They needed to stick right by the corner of that mountain to be able to duck back behind there once this started happening. But and they're not even trying. They're
I
just
agree
sitting there.
100%. Sverry is just sitting there, as is. Well, the more Dapper is trying to swing back, I think. Sverry, though, is just sitting out there. They did lose one of their engines, but I
Yeah, it was just a
believe they've
turning
gotten it
engine,
back up.
though. Yeah, it was just a turning engine. It wasn't even a main engine, so it's not like they couldn't have moved at all. I think that was just, oh, there they go. And that was sitting
Very
out in the
tough
middle of nowhere.
situation for them. They needed to stay in cover. They needed to hug much closer towards the rock formation here. They did not. They simply set out into the open. They were destroyed because of it.
Yep, absolutely. As I was saying, hide behind a little bit of that cover. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to get shots off at the got shot because that would got shot is more or less still in cloud cover. But Lussier, Goni, and Maid was definitely in a position to get fired upon, and being able to duck back into cover, repair is really all that Severity needed. But it looks like they spawned back there one more time and might try this again.
It's the best idea they have. It's just not a great idea in the first place.
Yeah, and it looks like they might be taking a little bit of a different approach. I wonder if they're going to use the archway this time around.
It looks like they are going to swing under this archway here. The more Dapper is heading directly for it. Sverry needs to take a few to swing around it. Be careful not to bump the ground, though. He's very close. Okay, he did clear. He did clear it.
And the problem is that I almost think that this should be on if you're looking at it from the way that they're approaching, they should be on the left side of the archway rock down over here. If they come out on the right side, they're also going to have another cover issue. But we'll see where they even go, because at this point, are they just going to try to rise? I don't think you can rise above this rock here.
I do not believe so either. I'm trying to rise above it. You can sail over. No, not you can't even sail over smaller parts of it. I'm at the roof right now on my camera, and it's just there is no space.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I didn't think so. It's not something I've really ever tried.
Spots
But
have gone down on both sides of the ship. Oh, the
ooh,
galleon actually rams its own junker, bumping all over the place. The junker
yep.
tried to get back into cover as fast as it could, but it only it only knocked around its fellow galleon.
Yeah, this is why I was saying that they need to drop down a little bit more, get behind the archway that you generally see ships hiding behind in the middle open here. Um, but very good firing there by the Gents, just taking advantage of the situation.
Gotshot Lust Argonia made happy to simply sit there. They have the firing and arc advantage over the Mad Hatter's team, and they're just gonna sit and continue to use it.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a very good position for them. They are able to see if the Mad Hatters try to come around the mountain once again. They're able to slink behind this ice pillar if the Hatters try to come around. Uh, More or less forward position of where they are right now. And are they just gonna go back into the clouds to their own spawn? That is that what's gonna
The
happen
more
here?
Dapper has been spotted, and shots are going to go down on it. It's trying to drop behind this rock formation, this lower arch,
Yeah, it's
but
That's the archway that you see a lot of teams set up behind, and what I think their best shot was using it here. But the Sverry is actually way up high and forward.
The Sverry is banking on clouds to just protect it as best as possible.
And so far, it's working out. More Dapper slinking down behind here, but they've got to be careful as soon as they come out of the. You know what? They actually don't think the Gents would be able to fire at him blinking around this rock. Yeah, the Gents actually don't even know that he's doing this. The Gents' view is being obstructed by the ice pillar here, and so they don't actually know what the Dapper is currently doing. And the Dappers, well, looks like they're just sitting there.
The
Or
Dapper
looks
is
like, okay,
waiting
there we
for
go.
the Sperry to actually pull forward and get into a better position.
Yep,
But
there
that
you go.
cover, the cover that the Gents were so eager to use, is actually starting to work against them and block their view. They don't know, oh, but some lucky shots going down on the Sperry. The Gents just got side of the Sperry. It is out in open field and in a lot of
Yep.
trouble.
Well, just a few shots hitting so far. Nothing too major that engineers can't deal with. Most of the shots are actually hitting the balloon currently. Oh, there we go. Finally, some hull hits coming down.
I'm shocked that they've taken so little damage. They were just sitting out in the open.
Yeah, absolutely. And return fire coming on in. Most of those are missing underneath the Lusty Argonian Maid, and now the Sverry has had half its guns disabled, finally getting it back up. But the more Dapper has come in all the way here and
They're
is getting
losing hull
absolutely
points
hammered.
very quickly. Focused fire from the Godshot and the Lusty Argonian Maid has done quite a number on their hull. Their hull has been cracked and permahull is starting to be damaged.
Yep, still those heavy shots coming towards the Maid. A lot of them missing underneath. More Dapper is trying to retreat to safety, but I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can get out of
They're
this.
losing permahull points very quickly. If their hull gets cracked again, they are under serious risk of going down, which will give the match to the Gents.
Yeah, and Sverry still missing all those shots. None of these shots have connected with either the Got Shot or the Maid. So that's a very huge lost opportunity there.
Sverry has had their hull cracked. They are starting to lose permahull points. They've lost most of their guns. One of their engines. Is that their turning engine or main engine? Do you know?
I believe that should be their main engine.
Sverry.
Nope, sorry, it's their turning engine, yep.
They're losing permahull points still below half. They are below half on permahull, as is the more Dapper. Both of the Mad Hatter ships are in very poor condition right now. Sverry continuing to take fire. There it goes. Gents win the match. 2-0.
Yep. Gents setting up shop in two different areas of the map. Extremely effective. Just knocking the Mad Hatters all over the place. But I really... there was a huge opportunity lost there by the Mad Hatters. There were a lot of shots missing in that final encounter.
They
A
had
few of those at
great
the
ambush
start.
opportunity.
Yeah, a few at the start were fine, but then they just started shooting underneath, and they were trying to change their focus to the Got Shot, and none of those were hitting either. And in the meantime, the more Dapper was getting absolutely bound blasted, so they had to retreat. And well, you can't retreat with a galleon that easily.